And on to the most mysterious and possibly the most misunderstood mammal on Earth, the gray wolf. Love this photo. A friend of mine took this. Don't know that wolf. He wandered in and back out again. So really incredible to get him. So the late Jane Goodall wrote that the reintroduction of the gray wolves to Yellowstone National Park is probably the most important study in ecology we have learned thus far. What happened? It's a 100-year story, my words now. A 100-year story, watching the demise of an ecosystem for 70 years and the comeback over the last 30 years. It's the Wolf Restoration Project of Yellowstone. So in the 1920s, Yellowstone implemented their predator eradication program. That meant that the rangers were tasked to killing everything with teeth and claws. Both bear species, 3 species of cats, coyotes, and especially wolves. Now, why would they do that? A couple reasons. The ranchers and the farmers had taken a hold of the West, so they wanted to protect their livestock. Kill every predator, make it easy. Also, the visitors who were coming into Yellowstone were not interested in seeing predators. They were afraid. So killing them off again seemed like a good idea. So in 1926, rangers killed the last 2 gray wolves in Yellowstone, the Canis lupus eremotus, which was a subspecies of the Rocky Mountain gray wolf. So that would be it for that particular subspecies of gray wolf. By the 1940s, there were so many elk, so many lazy elk, who are both grazers and browsers, meaning they are eating machines, that they were starting to kill off not just the grasses, but the deciduous trees. So cottonwoods, aspens, and willows, all of which, actually every single thing in an ecosystem has importance. When it comes to the cottonwoods, nesting songbirds, the aspens and the willows, beavers, also birds. But what would happen to the riverbanks? And some of you might have heard of the, might even be just a 2-minute video called How the Wolves Changed Rivers. I don't know if any of you have heard of that. It's the simplistic outline of what happened. So the elk would stand around in the riverbeds, eating the willow bushes, killing them. And the root systems of those willow bushes are what hold the banks together. So once the root systems start to die, there's going to be an outflow. There's going to be a shift in water. So the water systems are shifting, and now you have an overpopulation of elk. They're eating too much, and the park is going to have to control them. And what's happened with them? They're lazy now. They're going to stand around and eat. An ungulate should eat a little bit, look up and around, and move on. They should migrate, but they stopped doing that. Their normal behavior was gone. So now there's a big uh-oh. We've gotten rid of all the predators. We're seeing a total imbalance. The ecologists and the biologists understood that there was a problem. Now, how are they going to fix it? Well, a 50-year fight all the way to the Supreme Court, one of the biggest controversies in the history of the Wild West was the reintroduction of the wolf. Because ranchers and farmers, and at this point outfitters, didn't want them. But ecologists and biologists understood that if we didn't bring them back, that imbalance was going to get worse and worse. So, I'm going to fast forward a little bit. 1970s, President Nixon would sign the Endangered Species Act, which would protect animals. All the animals could start to make a natural comeback, but there weren't any wolves. So what were they going to do? They were now going to work on a plan to bring wolves back. They were going to look in every possible direction, the pros, the cons, the what ifs, and hundreds of people. Thousands of pages were written. And it went all the way up to when the Secretary of the Interior in 1994 would approve the restoration of wolves in Yellowstone, with the caveat that if they left the park and predated on livestock, they would be removed again. So now, they can bring back the wolves, but there aren't any. There aren't any in the lower 48 that have a prey-predator relationship with elk. And this is really important because animals evolve and adapt to each other throughout thousands of years. So in terms of elk and wolves, they run the same speed, they have the same advantages and disadvantages in snow and up and down hills. So when we look at the wolves that might be in northern New England, they would be gray wolves that would predate on deer. The timber wolves in Minnesota are moose eaters. The Mexican gray wolf, of course not. They needed wolves that would be able to live in sub-zero conditions and who would have a prey-predator relationship with elk. So they decide to go due north to Canada. And they hire a really cool guy. His name is Carter Niemeyer. And I've had an opportunity to work with him. He wrote books about going to get those first wolves. He goes up and he gets 14 wolves from 3 separate packs. And then one lone wolf who would become the first father wolf in Yellowstone. Now, you wouldn't go get a wolf pack and displace it. What happens? You need genetic diversity. I think I talked about that with bison. With wolves, it's even more important because they're too smart to interbreed. So very quickly, they would be gone. So, 3 separate sets of wolves from Jasper National Park up in Alberta, Canada, were brought down to Yellowstone, January 12th of 1995. It was a huge to-do. They were put in acclimation pens that were built behind the Lamar Valley Buffalo Ranch. Again, Lamar Valley. They were 1 acre in size each, and they had to be kept separate, of course, because wolves are territorial. You wouldn't take wolves from different packs and throw them in together. They would kill each other. But we wanted them close enough so that they could hear each other, smell each other, get to know each other. They put that lone male in with a female and her 2 daughters. And they were actually the first parents of wolves in Yellowstone. They're very famous. So, 1995, 14 wolves. They bring in another 17 in 96. Let me back up though. Sorry, they were kept in those acclimation pens for just 3 months. And then they were let out in March of 1995. They would do the same thing with 17 more wolves in 1996. And then later that year, bring in 10 more. So 41 wolves were brought in over 2.5 years. And those would be enough to repopulate Yellowstone. So in the 2.2 million acres that is Yellowstone National Park, believe it or not, we only have 100 wolves. That's it. So, think for a second. Everybody awake? Everybody awake? Yeah. I want you to be an elk in 1995, March 1995. You've gone 70 years with no wolves. All of a sudden, a wolf shows up. What's your cartoon balloon say? Run. No swearing. Oh, I was going to say something else. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, life as we know it is over. So did those wolves come in and eat all the elk? I love it when I hear that from someone. We heard the wolves came in and they ate all the elk. Guess what? 100 wolves, 12,000 elk. No. The wolves came in and they reinstilled the innate fear that elk should have. So they started to eat the way they should. Eat a little, move up and around. They started to migrate in the fall, in the winter. So then what could happen? The grasses could come back. The trees could regrow. The beaver could come back. The nesting birds. Everything from the top to the bottom could start to regrow. So when I say that this is a 100-year study in ecology, it's really important. 70 years with no wolves and the demise, 30 years of them back. I'm not going to give them all the credit, because in the interim we did have the other predators come back. We had fire, we had floods, we had climate change. So it's not just about them, but it certainly is an important story in ecology when we talk about this. All right, a black wolf. What happened here? Well, what happened was about 2,000 years ago, a domestic dog and a wolf got together and introduced the black color gene. So this melanism is very interesting, and it in fact gives these wolves a stronger resistance to distemper. So this is what we have found. When I got to Yellowstone, 30% of the wolves were black. Now 50% are. So that's a beautiful black wolf. These are typically what you think of as wolves, right? Gray, beautiful gray. I'm going to say something that's going to sound like I am over-anthropomorphizing. But wolves are like us. We used to be tribal. We used to live in clans. Work for the good of survival, collaborate, take care of the kids together, hunt, gather, whatever it was. We were a social structure that worked for the good of us all. That's a wolf pack. It is beautiful. We've got the alphas at the top, the betas, their lieutenants, and then we've got their youngsters. And then again, genetic diversity makes it so that we've got wolves from other packs who join. So whenever we've got alphas breeding pairs, they're going to come from different packs. And guess who rules? Remember how we said that herd animals are matriarchal? Older female at the top? Who rules a wolf pack? Alpha female. Yeah. Alpha female. Whenever people say something about being an alpha male, I say, oh, that's fantastic. That means you're a great dad. You take care of your wife. You are fiercely protective. But for the most part, you're a loving pushover. The alpha males are almost always sweethearts. And I kid you not, I've been watching wolves. I have a 99% success rate out there. I've seen a lot of wolves. And I've gotten to study with the best of the best. The alpha males typically don't fight. You know who fights? The females. And what we know about alpha females is that when they rule in an unkind manner, they will be demoted, they will be kicked out, or they will be killed. I happened to catch a demotion on video, and it's put me in a famous book because I got to witness that. So, amazing stories about these animals. The males, because the entire pack gets a burst of oxytocin, the love hormone, the parenting hormone, they all take care of puppies. They all love their puppies. So anybody can come in with a full belly, and they are going to be mobbed if those puppies are old enough to eat meat. And why is that? Because they have come in with 20 pounds of meat in their stomachs. And those puppies are going to run to them, lick around their jawline to initiate regurgitation. And that's how they eat. That's also how they're going to feed those moms. When the moms can't go out hunting, when the moms can't go out to carcasses, they're going to bring food in. It's a lot easier to bring in a belly full of food 6 miles away than to carry a big leg, to carry a big piece of something. So that's what they do. This was pretty funny. So I had been looking at this skeleton on the valley floor for about a week. And I had some kids with me, and I said, I'm going to go see something cool. And they say, yeah. So we go look at this. It's a elk carcass. And we're standing there with a spotting scope, looking at this pelvic bone, when this wolf walks up. I kid you not. She picks it up. We take a photo. She puts it down and walks away. My only thought is she must have gotten my check. So what I bet is that she was hoping to pick it up to take it to the pups, but it was too heavy. So she was testing it. She was testing it. And this is how they look in the winter in their full coats. Absolutely beautiful animals. They are major communicators. They rally in the mornings. They have "where are you" howls. They have howls of anguish, happy, alarm. When you are studying them and listening to them enough, you know what they're talking about. So highly intelligent, sentient, emotional, social. They're one of few mammals that parent together like we do. When I talk about parallels with humans. So birds parent together, and canids do. Foxes, coyotes, and wolves parent together. They adopt in as necessary. The females will actually nurse each other's puppies. There are times when we don't know whose puppies are who, because they're nursing on each other, or different moms. So it's really interesting when we have what's called a complex pack, when we have 3 or 4 females who have birthed. We don't always know what's going on for a while. We've got simple packs, we have complex packs, so between 3 and 35 I have seen. The average pack size is about 12. That's a normal size. When it gets to be 35, it's too big. Another beauty. So if a wolf were to walk by me, it'd be about this big. So they are big. Let me see if I've got, I wanted to show, here's what. In more winter coat here, guard hairs longer, and then they shed out. And then those poor females, when they are nursing and they're shedding out, they look awful in the spring and summer. This one is looking pretty beautiful. Oh, and one of my guides took this photo a few years ago. I just love it because you're seeing 2 different colors in incredible winter fur. So look at those animals. And the camouflage again too. So this is a pup. If they are black in color as puppies, they're going to stay black until they're about 3, and then their colors will shift into maybe cocos or a little bit of, they might go gray. Not that they look like a gray wolf, but their species, but let me back up here. Their species is gray wolf. And they come in any and all colors. But when we see one that looks like this, it is under 3 because there's no shift in color yet. This is a show of love. When they place their faces or their jaws on the back of another one, that's a show of love. They will place their paws on each other's shoulders. We have 2 new alphas in the pack that I study, and they absolutely love each other. When they are napping, they're touching. They go howl together. I saw them, I laughingly said to one of my friends recently, they go out on dates. They had a hectic pack, and I would see just the 2 of them out in the valley running around. And I would say, these 2, they actually go out together. Because they would just be out for a walk, and they leave a nanny. That's another thing they do. And one of the most incredible things I learned was my first year there when the wolves went out for a hunt, and I watched them go. And the wolf left behind was the nanny. It was a 2-year-old male. So all of them love and care for those pups. Another black wolf. Oh, just to keep that. My buddy Christina took a lot of these photos. So I've got coyotes, western coyotes, by the way, different than what we have here. Our coyotes here have wolf DNA. And we're trying to figure out just how much. That's a whole different talk though. So our western coyotes are about this big. They are absolutely beautiful. Look at this guy, he's about to jump there. Let's see if I can get, there we go. There's a beauty. He was watching 5 wolves in that direction with us. So we were standing over to the side of him watching a bunch of wolves, and this one was too. Look at him. He's on task there. He's staring, and then he gets over it. Look how beautiful that face is. So that is a pure Western coyote. Long snout, ears. You can really tell the difference. When people show, or when I see on Facebook, these pictures of canids around here, and people say, what is this? What an interesting color, the size of it, the different behavior perhaps. We definitely do not have pure coyotes here. Or we might have a couple, but we have a lot of coy wolves. And coyote puppies. Again, can't resist babies. This is called Coyote Rock. You can see that sunburst lichen on that cool rock. That's a big piece of volcanic rock. And a couple more are going to come running down. So, all right, the red fox. Another thing that happened when the wolves came back is they helped bring the red fox population back because coyotes kill foxes, and wolves will control the coyote population. Poser. Total poser. And the deer family. So the biggest of the deer family, of course, is the moose. And the moose that we have out west is called the Shiras moose. It is the smallest of the 5 subspecies of the moose that we have in North America. But when they are running you down, they're not so small. That's another story. So the deer family has antlers, of course. Oh, another baby. Brand new baby, by the way. So animals in the deer family have antlers, and that would be just the males. They're going to shed those antlers annually. So we've got moose. Oh. So again, look at this. When we study behavior, you cannot see that there's not emotion there. That baby isn't eating from mom. There's nothing going on. There's something about love going on there. And a bull in my yard. So those antlers are called palmates. You can see why? Palmates, shaped like that. So we have a different antler. And that was in my yard a few years ago. I've had a lot of moose in my life. Great fun. Okay, the second largest in the deer family is the elk. That's the Rocky Mountain elk. And he is just glorious. He's quite young, and I can tell because he doesn't have a thick neck. So, and that's an older boy. Look at him. He's sitting in the Mammoth Hot Spring Terraces. We are not allowed to go in them, but it's their park, so they can go in. A couple of females down in the river. And, come on. Oh, bugling. So they go into their rut in September, and I'm sorry we can't hear this. It's a loud, high-pitched noise that carries for miles. So look at this. Watch him as he bugles. See that? And that's a time to be in Yellowstone. So that's September, October.
That's cool.
Yeah. And this is my yard, another baby. So after she gave birth, she chased me around for about 5 days. So can't get to the cars, can't use the picnic table. Basically, they stash them behind rocks and back there in the bushes, and then doesn't let me use the yard. She forgets I pay the rent. So look at that. Beautiful babies. And I know we all have deer, but this is a mule deer. See those big ears? So of course we have white-tailed here. We also have white-tailed deer out there, out west. But we've got the muleys there that we don't have here in New England. Another one, I just love this picture, so it wound up in. Bighorn sheep. So a horned ungulate. Horns are stable throughout their lives. They are born with little nubs that are going to grow. And when it comes to bighorn sheep, you can actually tell their ages by the rings on their horns. Watching them in the rut is just unbelievable. You know, they have a double thick skull, and you can hear them crash. And so this was obviously in the winter. And another baby finding his legs. So they've been rolled up for a few months, right? They come out, and within about 6 hours, they're doing that. Sometimes it's like 2 hours. They're getting up, like, hey, we have legs. We've been all balled up. And then this little guy, trying to negotiate, what am I going to do here? How do I get down?
Jesus.
It all ends well, don't worry. But it goes on for a while. In fact, I don't think I got the final.
Funny.
Where am I going? What do I do?
Which way did I come?
Yeah.
That is, what a great shot. Wow.
Yep. And I think that's it. But it is a good ending, don't worry. It's a good ending. The Greater Yellowstone Horned Polar Bear. Did you know about them?
No.
Oh, good. Because those are mountain goats. But from a distance, it's really fun to tease people. So the mountain goats are the one non-native mammal. Remember I said that earlier? We've got one non-native. They were brought in for sport hunting in the 1940s and 50s. What we have found is that they could not have migrated naturally down from Canada because there's a gap in the Canadian Rockies that they wouldn't have made past. So they were brought in for sport hunting. There's a nice one. So they're usually quite a surprise for people. A lot of people don't know about the mountain goats. Badger, I'm going to go through these quickly. Badger. Badger with babies. Look at those claws, by the way. They are something else. I actually had to draw my bear spray on a badger once, too. How embarrassing. There he was aggressive. That's a pine marten. So that's a carnivorous, look at, you can tell, carnivore, look at those. Carnivorous forest dweller. If you hear red squirrels suddenly yelling about something, it's frequently about them. Yellow-bellied marmot. Not to be confused with Yosemite Sam's yellow-bellied varmint, right? So they look like a gopher or groundhog. They live in colonies in the rocks, and they are hibernators. I love this. He was just basically, get out of my space, lady. Otters. I had an otter in Rochester the other day. So, pretty exciting. But we've got otters in Yellowstone. How about this one? This is called a pika. These are little high elevation animals that look like a cross between a mouse and a rabbit, but they're in the rabbit family. Speaking of which, Jackrabbit. In winter coat. Yeah, he was. Yeah, in his winter coat. And cats. Zero cat mojo. Me. Never see cats. So a couple reasons. One is they have a lot of space. First of all, they're elusive. They do not want to see people. If they're around people, it's because they're forced. They're sick, they're starving. Something is going on. So the way my friends, my colleagues study these animals is they will track them in the snow, sometimes like 20 miles into the interior, and they will put up game cams, and they get information, they get photos. So if somebody ever says, I'm going to hire you to take me to find a mountain lion, big no, not going to happen. We've got Canada lynx. Look at that guy. So some of my friends who are photographers will go out in the winter and get photos like this. I don't have the patience. I'm not a photographer, but I'm pretty impressed when they can get something like this. And bobcats. The bobcats. And more wolves. So we've got a gray wolf over here. Did anybody notice our wolves have collars? Did you see that in the photos? We collar 15 to 20% of our wolves. They are some of the most highly studied animals in the world, the wolves of Yellowstone. Two of my best friends actually just did the book, the genealogy book, from the first wolves to today. So when we collar them, we get their DNA, we blood sample, obviously, measure their paws, weigh them, check out their skeletal system. Basically give them a physical. And then they get a collar and they get a number. So that's how we refer to them, is by number. Oh, and a pack going right across the valley floor. If I have a day like this with clients, that's an A+. When you've got a pack of wolves walking across the valley floor like that. They're pretty incredible.
Yeah.
And you can really see their collars here. They're biding their time, waiting for those bears to be finished, as you can see.
Very patient.
Very patient. Yeah, they're not going to go. They weigh, let's see, a quarter.
It's very obedient. Oh my God.
I'm just going to stand there.
I know,
Quite a
right?
day, too. When I look at these photos,
Breaking it down for me. I think it's more like, yeah. Like, I'm waiting in line.
I'm shocked he's not being aggressive, saying that's my food. I mean,
the bear,
the wolf.
the wolf?
I'm
Oh, the
shocked.
wolf isn't going to do that with the grizzly bear. No, when it comes to the hierarchy, the grizzly bears are at the top. Grizzly bears are at the top, absolutely.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And the bear's like, so unfair.
And this one, the bear's not going to tolerate. No sharing there. It's a pretty fuzzy photo here, video. So when we get to see that, it's a lot of fun, but sometimes we see the opposite too. Oh, this one was just some wolves that were playing. Well, one of the reasons I wanted to show this is, see those birds? Those are ravens. Wolves and ravens have a symbiotic relationship. So when we go out in the morning and we don't know where the wolves are, we'll actually look for bird activity to help us find carcasses. And carcasses obviously are going to mean wolves and bears. So that relationship is really interesting too. That's a whole other story.
Another talk.
Another talk, yes. Yep, talk about. And a rally. Lots of wagging. By the way, folks, when you're studying wolves, the way you understand their social structure is by watching their posture. There's never going to be a subordinate who is going to walk up to an alpha with their heads high, their ears up, their tails up. That's going to be a no-no. They're going to get pinned very quickly. So when you're watching wolves, you can tell who's who. Not necessarily right here, because they're all just wagging and rallying, and basically this is kind of a good morning. Are we full enough to go take a nap yet? So we aim to see that when we can. See the body posture of the two black ones? I'll teach that real quick. Tails down compared to up wagging. See that? That's a subordinate. Just a quick look. Oh, and I love, look at all the puppies. Puppies, puppies. Now these two elk don't know what to think. They are saying, we hear something, we're smelling something. See, he just put his head up to smell. We've got two adult wolves. This is really a little, there we go. There's one coming down, there's another one there, and a bunch of black little puppies. And those elk could actually be dangerous for the wolves, believe it or not, because they might go stomp puppies. They know what they grow up to be. So that wolf is going to come down and decide to tell those elk, get away from my den site.
Wow.
That's a whole denning area right there. That were 2 moms and about 9 puppies were right there. Oh, my last day in Yellowstone this year. Did you see the size of that grizzly bear? Really smart, not just huge. Probably huge because he's smart. He befriended a pack of 14 wolves. And because they were friends, the wolves shared with them. Now this isn't normal. This just happened to be a situation where that bear was really lucky. And so after they had eaten for a couple of hours, these 3 were taking a walk. I was actually accused of AI with this, which was very interesting because completely against anything I'd ever do. But it was my last morning in Yellowstone before I drove here.
Do you think it was young when it befriended them? No?
No, just this year. Just this year.